That'll make a good opener.
Okay. Welcome to another fabulous episode of The Crown and Spear. I'm your host, Stephen Litchfield, and this is my co-host.
Gary Litchfield.
And we have an amazing show, and like usual, I have no clue what we're going to talk about today.
Me either.
Oh, okay.
I thought you had something.
Well, I usually don't have much up going on, So,
Actually, I thought I'd talk about being perfect.
okay. That's a subject you know a lot about.
Absolutely. In fact, at work, they call me Mr. Perfect.
Yeah. And who on earth calls you Mr. Perfect?
My boss.
Oh.
She does it every day, practically.
And why?
Well, it's a short story. Some time ago, we were handling trucks coming in and out. We each have a computer, and we put information in there about the trucks, and then they go down and get rid of the logs, and then they come back up, and she checks them out, and we have to make sure you got things like the county right, the driver's name, the number of the truck. All those kind of things have to be in there to make it just right. And one day, as a truck come out that I had checked in, she looked over my direction and said, "Hey, Gary, you made a mistake." And I said, "What? Me? A mistake? I don't make mistakes." And she goes, "Oh, Mr. Perfect." And so she told me what I did wrong, and I said, "Okay, well, that was my first one."
But you're supposed to be Mr. Perfect. You're not supposed to make mistakes.
Well, that was the first one, as I told her that day,
Oh, yeah.
until the next one.
Uh,
Well, the thing is, people like to think they have perfection or they got to be perfect to be able to, know God and follow what He says. And perfection is just something we're not going to actually reach here on earth.
what are you talking about? You're not saying that this isn't the object of perfection? And I'm talking about myself, people here.
Well, it's in the eye of the beholder. And I guess you're the beholder.
Well, I look at myself the most.
So anyway, we kind of play that up a lot, and every time I make a mistake, she says, "Oh, Mr. Perfect, you made a mistake." And
Is
I
that
said,
how
"Okay."
she sounds?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And so I said, "Well, first one." And she asked how much I keep count. And I said, "I don't keep count." That's why I can stay Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
You ought to try that sometimes when you're out there and people ask you about it, But there are a lot of people who think in order to have a relationship with God, or if you simply call yourself a Christian, then you're suddenly perfect. And everybody knows that's just not true. You can't do it.
That's not true.
But there's a lot of people out there that are that way. And particularly if you say you're a Christian and you try to have a view of something, whether it be political or not. We don't get into political things, but sometimes when you have those views, people say, "Well, how can you have that view if you're a Christian?" And so they kind of pick at you from those aspects. And,
I would say because that's how God made me.
well, there you go. So, but perfection is something we probably would ought to want to work towards, but none of us are going to be perfect here on earth.
So would you claim that there was anybody who was ever perfect?
I think there was one person who was.
Okay.
Do you know who that was?
Give me a hint. I mean, I think I know, but I don't know if our audience would know.
Well, he's a guy that lived nearly 2,000 years ago.
Wow, he's old.
Yes. Still alive.
Still alive.
That's right. He did die, but he
Fascinating.
came back to life. Does that give you a clue yet who this person might be?
I'm getting a stronger clue.
Well, we're talking about the Lord Jesus Christ.
Ah.
Born of a virgin.
I should have figured that
You
much.
should have, knowing what we talk about.
I know.
Anyway, he's born of a virgin, grew up, lived a totally sinless life. So he was perfect. And then, of course, he taught the disciples for 3 years and then died on a cross, but didn't stay that way. He came up out of that grave, rose from the dead on the third day, And miraculous things after that. Many, hundreds and hundreds of people saw him, and a large group actually saw him ascend into heaven. And so, because of his perfection, in faith, we can look to him, and he takes care of our sin for us. So we don't absolutely have to be perfect. We can simply look to him. I know we usually hold a verse for the end, but I have a verse in connection with
so we're
this.
going to be starting with a verse.
Starting with it today.
Oh my gosh.
So up here we have from Psalm 103, as far as the east is from the west, so far does he remove our transgressions from us. As a father shows compassion to his children, so the Lord shows compassion to those who fear him. I think it's an amazing verse, but he talks about taking our sin, the things that we do wrong, even our original sin, being born, we're sinners because of Adam and Eve. We've talked about that before. But because of all that, we're sinners. But when we put our faith in him and have this reverent fear for him, a respect for him, a treasuring of him, loving him, following him, wanting to do better, then he, as it says up here, it moves our sin as far as the east is from the west. How far is that? Can you ever get to the west by going east?
Well, you just end up going in a circle,
That's it. You keep going east and you never reach to the west. You just keep going.
Is there such
it's
thing
always
as a
out
true west?
there. It probably is
We're getting
in
into
some kind of little...
some philosophical type stuff here.
It is a strange concept. But the thing is that in Christ, he removes our sin. One of the things we've talked about before is that you're born a sinner. It's part of our nature. And as a sinner, the scripture describes us as being dead. And dead people don't just come back to life on their own, other than Jesus Christ, because he was God. But being dead, we don't follow him. We don't seek him. We don't look for him. But he gives us the gift of faith, and the faith changes our nature. And then suddenly we become alive. And by faith we follow him, and we trust in him. And we start reading his word. And we try to find out places in our life where we do have problems and we do have to fix them. We try to find out where we sin and repent of that. Repentance is a turning around, going the other way. Not only stop doing the sin, but start doing the right thing, the opposite thing. And so, it's a process through our whole life. And we don't get perfect until we get to go to heaven. Then he transforms us. He renews us, gives us a heavenly body. I'm looking forward to that with this old diseased body here. But one day, it'll be a perfection.
That'll be amazing. Yeah. I think we're all looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah, I think so. It'll be pretty cool.
Yep.
So anything else happened in your life this week?
Not that I can think of, not really. It was a slow week.
A slow week.
Yeah.
Well, on my side, we've talked about one of us as a sponsor, being in Creator Crafts and being the woodchuck. I had a very good week at our weekly farmers market. We
I was there for that.
You were there for one of them. We did a Friday and a Saturday.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to get to that one.
Yeah, but you need to go. It's a good one.
Yeah.
But anyway, we sold a good bit, had a very good time of sales on the 2 days. Emptied out some of my stock, and now I got to try to get it replenished this week, so we got more things for this coming week.
Exactly.
But it's always good news. And then from that, there was also, I got a call yesterday of a young couple that are getting married, and they wanted a sign made with their wedding date and their names. And the guy that I buy some of my wood from, just up the road here in State Road, he gave them one of my cards, and they called me, and we met and found out what they wanted, and I got their sign made first thing this morning, and they came by about half hour ago and picked it up. They were thrilled to death.
Okay.
So I wish I had something I could show it to you, but it's hard to see my phone just sitting here this far away from the screen.
That's true. Maybe next time we'll have a PowerPoint of something like that.
Maybe we can.
Or maybe by computer magic it'll appear on the screen.
Hey, you never know.
Or not. Okay. We'll just figure that part out.
That's right.
All right.
So anyway,
but-
that was it on the verse, and
Okay.
back there to our logo again.
Okay. Well, before we go any further, let's take our first break.
All right, sounds like a
Okay.
good time to do it.
All right. We'll be back in a minute, people. All right, everybody. I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad I have your ear for you for a moment. Okay. If you haven't already, go to Amazon.com and get you my book here. See, it has my name down there. Love for Christmas. They are flying off the shelves. People love them. It's great. Get your copy. And if you want a signed copy, shoot us an email. Somehow we'll figure out how to get you a signed copy. You'll have to go to thecrownanspear@gmail.com. And also check out the merch shop. If you just go on Google, type in St. Life Entertainment, you should either find the link either through Facebook, Instagram, or you might even go through Spreadshirt and find it that way. But we got all sorts of cool merch on there, and I'm even working on getting some more merch through even another shop. So be looking for that. All right, and we're back. We got a special treat today.
We do.
We do. We are going to our traffic reporter, our eye in the sky, to give us an update on the current traffic situation.
You must have enlarged our budget.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go to our traffic reporter, our eye in the sky. I know. I'm just so great at this. And so, Chester Smallcheeks, can you hear me? Are you up there?
Yeah, I want to get the new crispy chicken sandwich.
What did he say?
Yeah,
What, did you want
French
the crispy chicken
fries.
sandwich?
some sweet tea.
Son, do you want some apple pie with that?
Yeah, I'd like to have an apple pie with that.
Hey,
Yeah.
Chester.
Oh, in
Chester.
the
Chester.
milkshake.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Like strawberry milkshake. Yeah.
Chester.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good too. Yeah.
We're live, Chester.
Okay.
Okay, we'll just. I'm sorry about that, people. Apparently, he is flying a helicopter through the drive-through.
Hey, he's a pretty good pilot and cameraman at the same time.
Yeah, apparently. So, what else happened this week? Told you this is a riveting story, people.
That's right. We just always have the things right there on the top of our head of what we're going to talk about, and then we
do.
talk about them.
This is just spur of the moment stuff.
Well, if somebody remembers from watching our last show, I showed a couple of signs that I made.
Yep.
And there was one that had to do with the show The Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put that in the mail, and the post office had told me it would take till Monday to get there.
Monday.
Yes, today. But I decided to check and see if it got there on time today. And when I pulled up the tracking, it actually showed up there on Saturday. So they got it early. Can you
good.
believe it? The post office got something there ahead of time.
Yeah. Nothing against our post office, but
Sometimes they're a little slow, like we talked about last week when my alternator was supposed to be there Thursday and then Friday and then Saturday and finally showed up on Saturday.
yeah.
So I wasn't confident this would make it there in time, but it got there from Thursday to Saturday instead of today. So
Uh-huh.
it's pretty cool.
So, yeah.
But I was going to try to see whether the guy got it or not, and lo and behold, a thing popped in on my phone from him, who I thought it might be him saying, "Hey, I got this," but it turned out he was on a plane heading for another state and then going to California to do editing on the program. And
So he was responding to you personally, saying that he was on his way on a plane somewhere to do some
yeah, right.
photoing, editing, and
I
some
wish.
amazing stuff.
No, it was just a recorded message saying he was on his way.
So just a ram thing to everybody.
Yeah, it went to everybody that's on his phone list, but it pops up.
You're
and
on
it's-
his phone list?
I'm on his phone list. Yes, aren't you?
No,
Well, you can be.
I'm not on anybody's list.
It shows up on Facebook, and you can type in that number, and you'll start getting messages from him.
Okay.
all the time. You know, one of the things that I remember from my youth too, from years ago, is we'd go climbing.
Oh gosh.
And I don't do that anymore. I'm not in the physical shape to do it as we were back then. But
I would have never guessed.
never guessed.
I thought you were like a spelunker or something.
No, I'm not into that getting into cave thing. So,
Oh.
but back in the day, my family had a cabin outside of Winchester, Virginia, up on the side of a mountain.
Was it named after the gun?
I have no
Or the
idea.
person?
Beats me. I just know it was called Winchester. Thank you.
He said beat me, so.
He did. Takes me
Okay.
literally sometimes. But our family had a cabin up there. And a lot of times my brothers and I would go for walks, and we lived on the side of a mountain. And so we decided to take a walk up the mountain one day. That was quite strenuous. But roads go up about halfway, and then from there you go into the woods, and you just keep walking and walking and walking. And there was a lake down towards the bottom where we went to a lot.
What was it called?
Just the lake.
Huh.
Didn't have a name.
That's
I think
a
they
fancy
actually.
name.
I think sometimes they did call it Crystal Lake because it was nice and clear.
Okay.
But water come out of that. It was a man-made lake, and there was a pipe in the middle that kept the water at a certain temperature or at a certain level, and then that pipe went out to a stream and then over a waterfall, and it was built into where a stream had been, so it was fed by a mountain stream on one side, went through the pipe and out and over the falls. We got thirsty and we found this little stream, and we were all stopped to get us a drink. You just take your hands and scoop some water up out of it.
Did you get any parasites?
I don't think so. Just a
Nobody
single
threw
and not
up?
a pair.
Oh.
But we did have an adventure.
Where's our noise?
I don't remember which one it is.
Is it this one?
There it is.
Thank you.
Sound.
Wait a minute. Oh. There we go.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Amazing. Anyways,
My brother, it was like, water come down, it was a little puddle, and then it rolled down another little puddle. And my brother bent down to take a drink.
well, I
and
mean,
about-
after you've drunk a lot of water, you do
you do
create
puddles.
some puddles.
That's it. These were clear water puddles. And so he bent down to get a drink, and about 2 foot in front of him was a coiled up rattlesnake. Sleeping, thank goodness. It was there and in the sun. And we ended up cutting down a little tiny tree and sharpened a point on it and jammed it down on top of it. And then my brother took a machete and chopped its head off, and we buried it. But it was scary for a little bit because I don't like snakes. Snakes are not my friend.
I mean, you don't just go see a snake. Oh,
No, don't want to pet it.
So cute.
I had to go somewhere one time where they had some pet snakes and they wanted me to touch it, and I wouldn't do it. That's scary thing, touching snakes. I don't know. They
Only
look
when they
slimy.
bite you.
Well, they have a tendency to like to do that to you, so I didn't want to take a chance on the bit. So we just jumped right on out there and headed the rest of the way up the mountain. Got up there and, like I said, could look down, could see the lake that looked like about the size of a donut. And
Krispy Kreme, people.
yeah,
Please be a sponsor.
we're always looking for sponsors. But anyway, and then we took our time and worked our way back down the mountain and back to the road and down back around to the house.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were fun days. We had a lot of adventures up there, wandering around different places, and the waterfalls were pretty steep. I mean, they went down, 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 down. And one time we decided to climb down the middle of the waterfalls. Got all wet. We tied the rope to the railing at the top and kind of, whatever you call that, going down, rappelling.
Repelling.
Before we knew what rappelling was. And I was afraid of heights, so I kind of went over to the side, and there were rocks and hills, and I climbed, and I got to the bottom and watched my brothers do it.
Wow. I'm surprised no one fell and broke their neck trying to go down a waterfall.
Yeah, it was slippery. They slipped and held onto the rope, and
Because, in case you didn't know, waterfalls have water going down.
they do. But, let me have a sip here and all.
Okay.
Good old Mountain Dew. Diet.
Which is not a sponsor, by the way.
You're hung up on that sponsor thing, aren't you?
But if you want to be. So, let's take our next break. And we'll do our final segment and our goodbyes and all that kind of stuff. So, everybody, we'll be right back.
Hello, it's Gary again with Creator Crafts, and particularly with the area of Creator Crafts called the Woodchuck. I've talked some more about some of the things that I do, and I've shown you some of the carvings. This here is called pyography, or some people just simply call it wood burning. This is a piece of plywood that I burned a series of roses on. And then the frame, we have a whole bunch of tobacco sticks from an old farm here. And I've turned those tobacco sticks into some frames. And so we framed this wonderful picture of roses. And it's the type of thing where you can, guys, say, hey, I bought you roses hanging on the wall, and every time you got to do is turn around and point to them. There they are, more roses for you. So anyway, fun doing these things, and they sell pretty good. So check out Creator Crafts on Facebook, and you can see more of the stuff that I do there. Thanks for watching.
And we're back on this strange episode. So, what were we talking about?
We just finished talking about hiking the mountain.
Hiking the mountain.
Yes.
Okay. And
then we talked about being perfect.
Being perfect.
We got that out of the way.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a good chance of working on that one now.
Yeah. Oh, you reminded me of something earlier.
I did?
About the one and only time I ever had experience with wine.
Yes, that was unusual.
It was unusual.
Do you want to go ahead and tell your side of it, and then I'll jump in?
Sure. All right. So we were visiting a church in, I think it was Boone.
Yes, Boone, North Carolina.
Boone, North Carolina. And I don't know if this church normally does the communion.
They do it weekly.
Out of my head. Okay, so they do it weekly. I was going to say I didn't know how often they do it.
Yes.
Okay, so they were doing it weekly, and it's getting to the end of the service, and they're going to do it at that point. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
So everybody, the way they were going to do it is everybody gets into a line, and you just kind of go one by one, getting the little piece of bread and the juice, and you drink it there, and you go to your seat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the line, and I'm waiting on my turn, and finally it comes up, and so I take the little bread, eat it, and then I go to pick up what I'm thinking is the grape juice, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, this looks different than the normal grape juice I have, but I'm like, man, maybe it's an off-brand or something, So I take it, and I swig it back, and then I'm like, yeah.
You should have seen the look on his face, because I was next right behind him, and he gave me this look like, what did I just put in my mouth?
No.
It turned out that they used both grape juice and real wine.
Yeah.
But it was in the bulletin, which we didn't get one of. We got there a few minutes late, and we didn't get a bulletin. And the real wine was on the outer ring of the communion tray, and the juice was in the center. And we didn't know that.
Now, I know a lot of people really like wine, but apparently I'm not a wine drinker because I thought it tasted disgusting.
That's right. So whenever you see us picking up our cups and taking a sip, it's usually some kind of diet drink, whether it be Diet Mountain Dew, Diet Dr. Pepper.
Or
water, which is another one of those great things.
Because, water's good for you. And, of course, they had this one big cup thingy that was sitting there.
Right.
And at first I was like, is this like a spittoon or something right here? But
it was a cup to put the little cups into, so they could throw them away.
I'm like,
so you'd had a place not to just leave them laying everywhere.
I gotta swallow this. Thankfully, I had some drink back at my seat, and I'll just start chugging that down. And, but yeah, that was my experience. It was not something I was fond of. I don't know if I'll ever do that again. But
now, see, on the other hand, I grew up in a family where my father made wine as a hobby.
This is our wino over here, people.
Yeah, right. The big wino. Like, 2 years ago, I had one bottle of wine for the entire year. So that was it. And
you alcoholic.
Yeah, me, big alcoholic. Yeah, that was it. But my father did make wine as a hobby. Mm-hmm. And he had the bottles set up in the basement of our house. And it would do its little percolating and whatever it did to get the juices in air to turn into wine. And then when friends and guests would come over, he'd offer them samples. And from time to time, he'd let me have a taste. And so I knew what it was about. Never drank as a kid or a teenager. That wasn't one of my things. I didn't do like some people did.
You were how old and your dad was giving you alcohol?
I don't remember. Young. Only in his presence. I was one of those kids that didn't run around behind his back.
Yeah, I'm sure so.
And
A lot of
drink.
people say, seriously, officer, I was in my dad's presence. Okay? He was right next to me.
We do a good impression for somebody who doesn't drink. You've been practicing somewhere.
Just that one time.
Just the one time.
I got
And it was at
sloshed
church.
on that, like 1 little ounce of it.
And again, it's one of those times where you wish you had a camera handy and watched his face as he put that little tiny cup of communion wine into his mouth. Mm-hmm. And I thought he was just going to turn green there for a minute. And then when we got out, he goes, "What was that?"
I don't know
That
if I
was
would say
wine.
what was that. But I was necessarily like, was that wine? That was gross. Why do people drink this?
Now, see, what we ought to do is you let some of these people taste it at one point, realize how it tastes, and they think, "Gee, I don't want to do that again," and then you don't. Then see,
Is that like the method of smoking? Like, here, smoke a whole pack of
and
cigarettes at one
cough
time.
your head off.
and you're like,
Yes, I remember seeing kids doing that when they were young, trying to get used to smoking, and the first time they took a puff, and they'd cough and cough and cough and cough,
throw up.
and then they tried again and cough and cough and cough, and
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things people have as a nasty habit: smells, stinky things.
All right. Before we get too much down this one rabbit hole,
Yeah.
I know. I gotta introduce a new person to the show.
We're having 2 new people. You had the reporter in the helicopter
I know.
going through a drive-through.
I know. This is amazing, people. Our budget is like half a penny. But this guy, he is he comes from royalty.
Royalty.
I know.
And we just talked about royalty 2 weeks
I know,
ago.
and I said I wasn't,
and you weren't into the
big-
royalty
yeah.
thing.
But this guy, he kind of changed my mind about some stuff. So, so I thought I'd bring him on the show. But because of COVID stuff, he's still in the booth. So, and we don't have a camera in there because we're poor. So I am gonna turn it to Sir Reginald. Sir Reginald, can you hear me?
'Tis I, Sir Reginald.
Wow.
I want to lay down a challenge for all of you
All
who are
right, a
listening.
challenge.
Everyone knows the name of the show. It's the Crown and Spear.
Hey, you got it right.
But do you know why it's called the Crown and Spear?
I do.
I do.
If you think you have the answer, leave a comment down below.
Okay.
Ooh.
So you heard the challenge.
The crown and spear, where did it come from? What's
Yeah.
it mean?
So if you can take a guess, or maybe you want to try to do some research.
Research.
I can't talk.
It's like searching and then searching
Yes.
again.
If you want to do some research, and you think you have the idea of why we named the show The Crown and Spear, please leave a comment down below on our YouTube page, or go to Facebook and leave us a comment. Go to our Instagram page and leave us a comment.
Or write us an email.
Write us an email at thecrownandspear@gmail.com.
That's right.
And
While you're doing it, don't forget to share the news, let people know. And if your name is in there and you mention the Santa Claus, they could win this. He is an 8-inch tall, 2-inch wide, hand-carved, hand-painted, signed Santa Claus by me. Right there.
shameless plug.
There we go.
So back to the challenge. If whoever I see first that gets it actually right of why it's called the Crown and Spear, I will give you a shout out at our next show. Unless, of course, nobody gets it right, then it'll go to the show after that, and the show after that, and the show after that.
2 years from now,
That'll-
we're sitting here old and gray.
Yeah, that or eventually I'll just tell you because I'm tired of people making bad guesses. So with that, we're going to say goodbye to Sir Reginald.
Sir Reginald, away!
Yeah, and there he goes. All right. So, yeah, I'm sorry we didn't have a horse. It was just him going. So, we were talking about the
Santa Claus.
Your Santa Claus carving.
Yes.
Yes.
There he is again.
We are getting a lot of different people who are entering the contest. That is good. And keep in mind, to be able to win this Santa Claus, you you don't have to subscribe. Technically, all you have to do is go to the email and which is thecrownanspear@gmail.com and write and put your name and win carving into the.
But we would love for
message.
you to subscribe.
But
and
the
check
point,
that
yeah, the
box.
point is to be able to win, we have to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, tell your friends, hit that subscribe button,
Share it to friends.
share it, share it, share it. So if you want to win that, we got to get to our goal, and we're getting there slowly. What else? Oh yeah, make sure you hit the like button. Comment. No, we're not going there. And hit that notification bell. Just bang on it hard and make sure you get those notifications.
You don't want to miss any of this.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
don't wanna
is
miss
this
the
not
show.
enlightening and making your day joyful? Because if nothing else, you can laugh at us too.
I mean, I'm entertained. Are you not entertained? Okay, so that'll be it for our show today, and I hope everybody had a good time. If you didn't, well, you can try next time. So for all of us here at the Crown Spear, I am your host, Stephen Litchfield,
And I'm Gary Litchfield.
and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.